First of all, tell me about that great piece of art you have behind you. It's sensational. What is that?
Well, I figured tapestries are easy. I just like to get a bunch of colors and bright rainbow. It's like a fuzzy mountain with all sorts of different colors, and I don't know. It just seems to take up a wall. I got a lot of space here, and I'm not much of an artist, so it's an easy way out.
Now, you didn't do that. You bought that piece of art, correct?
Over here is a cool one too. It's like a fractal. Yeah, very much into the geometric stuff and the colors.
So do you go to art galleries to purchase this?
No, this is Amazon. Very, very reasonable. Although I do love going to the art museum here in St. Louis. I enjoy just looking at them and trying to learn some history on these pieces too. There's so much information that you don't know by just looking at it.
So how do you feel physically, and how close are you to being 100% and ready to go?
Well, we've stayed pretty active here in St. Louis. So really it's just about kind of getting into a routine of doing stuff every day and kind of building up our workload. But we've been doing lives for weeks now. I feel comfortable in the box. Physically I feel great and ready, kind of like going into spring training, maybe a little bit more so.
How were you able to simulate like live pitching? Who's been throwing to you?
There's all sorts of guys, pro guys around St. Louis that we've been facing, and Wainwright and KK are here in St. Louis, so we faced them a few times at Busch. So we're just doing our best to kind of network around the area, and tomorrow we'll be going out towards Wentzville to take some lives.
Does Wainwright try to get you out? I mean, is he throwing his best stuff?
Yeah. He's throwing everything. He's even talking trash and kind of trying to get in the mental game as well. It's always fun to have Wayno out there, and I mean, just the way he runs out onto the field from the dugout, he's trying to simulate as much as he can a real game. So definitely game-like at bats.
Now, what would he say to his loyal shortstop who hit 30 home runs last year in terms of trash talking?
Well, just with his curveball, he'll act like he's not going to throw it, or he'll throw one slow, and we'll take like an aggressive swing, and he'll just laugh, and it's just all good fun banter back and forth.
And it's you and Colton together since basically before spring training started, right? You guys have been together.
Yeah, I've been here since I'd say mid-April, and definitely settled in here. More guys that I expect to filter in soon now that we know a report date.
What do you learn from Colton? I know he's not that much older than you, but he's been through some ups and downs, and he finally has really put it all together. What have you learned from him?
Just the attention to detail. Just the other day, I asked him what size Pelican case he has to take on the road to take all his recovery stuff for the hotel, and so little things like that. But then he always has a positive attitude, knowing that he's been through the ups and downs. And so he's able to convey that very well to guys that are struggling, and just kind of learning the process and really attention to detail when it comes to work and all that stuff. I mean, Colton is an inspiration out there on the infield for me to try to work up to his level and his precision.
How about the 60-game sprint aspect? How will that make it different for you? How will things be at all almost strange?
Yeah, Derek Gould was asking me if that was going to be like a college season, and I guess total games will definitely feel like that. But was it 60 games in 66 days? I heard so. 10 games in a row will feel like a big league season throughout the whole year. So I know you're going to see some intensity with some arms. I know guys might have only 12 starts versus a 30 start season normally or something like that. So you'll definitely see guys really laying it out there like a sprint, like you said.
Yeah, I talked to Matt Carpenter today, and he said he was going to talk to his college coach about the whole philosophy of a collegiate season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. It's still, the level of baseball will still be major league level, and to me that'll be way more than a college season from a mental aspect. But physically, it's absolutely going to feel like a sprint for us, because 60 games is like a warm-up really into the next 100 normally. So especially coming off a little break here, it might be a slower start physically to kind of get back into your rhythm. But there's not much time, so you really got to be on go as much as you can from day one.
What do you think of the DH for the National League?
I enjoy the pitchers hitting. I know I'm more of a purist, and I like the way managers will navigate and the way pitchers can work around a lineup. I just think it adds some more mystery and drama to the game, and double switches, and guys coming in off the bench and making impacts. Gets guys to play defense. Never really done the DH thing as much as a player, so I don't know if I'll get that opportunity, but it'll have a chance. I'll.
Just 1 second. I'm so sorry. Good thing we're on tape.
You can edit that out.
Yeah. Okay, I got another one. The starting a runner on second base in extra innings. What do you think of that rule?
It's kind of funky, but I guess if it's even for everybody, then it becomes a situational hitting type scenario. And I always enjoyed extra innings until that 19-inning game last year in Arizona, but it'll add some mystery to the game, and I think it could make things a little exciting at the end.
Your manager, if you're coming up and there's a runner on second, he's not going to say lay one down, is he?
No, I think the guy in second and nobody out, you're almost guaranteed to swing away unless you really got a tough matchup or a good bunter and somebody behind. But, you bunt him over and you got a guy in third, they might walk that guy. So, they might even walk the guy that's up with runner on second, nobody out, just because if it's only one run that makes a difference, might as well get a double play ball. So, there's a lot of different ways that can go. So it might be interesting to see the different situations play out.
I know you're a level-headed guy, but the negotiations seem to be so bitter and so acrimonious. What were you thinking when all the things were being said?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of got put in a bad light in the press as far as our obstinance to making a deal. But really, we just want to be treated fairly and agree to what we agreed to and play for what we agreed upon back in March. And so really it just comes down to trying to have the most mutual respect for each other because, we need each other to play this game. And so, taking advantage or trying to take things out of context can really drive a wedge between us. But, I'm really glad that we came to an agreement that we can play at least some games this year in such a strange year in 2020. I think we all need baseball, and so I'm glad that we're finally going to get to play regardless of the circumstances.
You would all think about the collective bargaining agreement ending at the end of next season and how tough that could be, or do you just block that out of your mind for now?
Yeah, not even going to think about that at this point. Really the status quo would at least be acceptable. If not, a little bit more towards us would be the only way I could see things going, at least to free up guys as far as, quicker free agency or quicker arbitration, just to help guys make more money quicker. And then if the game wants to stay young, that's fine. But guys should be able to get paid quicker. So you can't have it both ways in that situation. If you're not going to pay the older players, then the younger players need to get paid more. And so it's kind of a give and take there, but we'll wait for that bridge to cross when we get there.
How about your club? I mean, with 60 games in 66 days, pitching is really, really important. You have 5 starters, and then you have another 5 guys who could be starters, and then you have a bunch of really good bullpen people.
Yeah, I think we're going to be deep, and I'm not sure what the roster is going to look like, and I don't know what the moves look like as far as who can be active and ready. I think it's a 30-man roster, so it's going to be interesting. I think teams will have probably a few more arms than normal, at least probably a couple bats extra on the bench, but with the DH, that really frees up our team offensively a little bit when we got guys fighting for spots in there. And so, that'll help us overall to have that DH and that 30-man roster.
So I know after you set the bar so high last year with 30 home runs, that's a goal every season. What's the goal in a 60-game season?
To win. I saw an MLB post about, the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 World Series. Yankees haven't been back. The Angels want to get back to the postseason. I mean, everyone's taking this season very seriously, and so should we, and so are we. So we want to win. We want to get to the World Series, and we want to make this worth it because of all this these mental, hurdles we've had to overcome. This season's going to matter just as much as any other, in my opinion.
So you definitely feel, even though it's 60 games, you'll get a legitimate champion sometime in October.
Yeah, I agree. Just because we're all out here together, and it's not like anyone had an advantage to play, more games, and it meant more for them. So, we're all in the same boat, and 2020 is going to have a World Series, and there's going to be a champion, and we want it to be us.
How are you going to be better? I know last year you had this really great season, all-star season. At the end, you were a little tired. 60 games, I guess you can't get tired, but how do you take your game to the next step?
Yeah, that's a great question. In this limited amount of time, it's going to have to be a mental year for me. Coming off last year, being a little physically tired and leading to my mental tiredness, really it just needs to be, locked in. I need to, do everything right because there's not that much time, and there's no time to have those types of dips. So, being active and ready right away, but also, stepping up more as a leader with the pitching staff, with the people around me on defense, being a better shortstop, seeing the field better, and a better situational hitter because these runs are going to be really important. We talk about one game in a 162 game schedule that makes a difference. One game in a 60 game schedule is absolutely going to be all the difference. So, doing all the little things right is going to be my focus, just because of how important they'll be this year.
What other kinds of things are going to be different? Is it true that you're going to drive to Busch Stadium in your uniform, or how's that going to work?
No, I'm going to choose to shower and change at the stadium like normal. I don't think that they said they were banning that, maybe for certain people, but hot day game in St. Louis or Kansas City, you best believe I'm going to shower and change when I'm all sweaty.
How about on the road? Anything different travel wise?
Haven't really heard too much about the details. I'm sure they'll brief us when we get into camp, but I'm gonna try to treat these just like a normal year. Like I said, I'm gonna bring some recovery stuff with me on the road this year, just so I can have that stuff and be productive in my hotel room, given the opportunity. I don't know, what our times at the stadium, if we're still gonna go, 1 o'clock bus for a 7 o'clock game. It's hard to say how it'll look, but I know we'll all adjust, and we'll have to do what we have to do to stay ready every day.
Playing in front of no fans, you're used to playing in front of 3 million fans.
Yeah, 40,000 a night in St. Louis. We might not realize how much that boosts us throughout the year, but like I said before, we're all in the same boat when it comes to all this stuff. So, having that competitive advantage mentally will take you over and help us in the long run, as opposed to kind of feeding off the home crowd or whatever it is, or feeding off the road crowd, even if you're one of those guys. So, eliminating that, it becomes what are you doing and what are we doing as a group? And really, if we control those things, that's the key right there.
Finally, what do you think it's going to be like for you when you're running out on the field for the first time in late July and playing baseball again?
It's going to be surreal. It's going to feel like a long run out to shortstop. I'll tell you that. Just a lot of emotions and things going into it. But, that first pitch will lock us right back in, and then it becomes about the game. So, really in between the lines is going to be more important than ever this year. And, eliminating all these other distractions, but also increasing the adjustments when it comes to all this travel and the protocols and these things. So, just trying to, this year more than ever, really got to stay focused on the game and staying healthy, because there really isn't much time to lose.
Oh, one more. What do you say to fans who are big Paul DeJong fans, big Cardinal fans that have been a little bit sour recently, but what do you say to them now?
Well, thanks for sticking through this with us. We want to be out there just as much as you want us out there. And, there's a lot going on right now in the world, and baseball seems to have a little bit of a back burner effect. But, I think some live entertainment and us being out there playing the game we all love will snap us right back into where we need to be. And we can't wait to get back out there and play and try to bring home a championship again to St. Louis.